I'll just do a brief intro of myself. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi everyone. I'm Ved Yas, but Ved would be fine. I I'm starting today at Subspace. My previous experiences include working at Centrifuge and Instamojo, mostly focused on financial side of things. Um, uh, Yeah, like I love Go, I love Rust, and I've been working with those two for the last 5, 6 years or so. Um, Happy to chat about anything specific to tech or anything specific to self-hosting. I recently started hosting a lot of my own services on my own rack, so including my own email. So if anyone wants to chat about that, happy to chat about that as well. But yeah, that's me.
Where are you based, Fed?
Yes, I'm based in Berlin, but I'm usually going back and forth to Barcelona because my family stays in Barcelona, but mostly based out of Berlin, like 90% of the time.
Awesome. Thank you, Fed. We're really excited to have you here on the team.
Thank you, guys.
Definitely. Our team is getting bigger, and the work is getting done as well. So today on our DevSync, we'll share what we've been working on last week and what we are planning to do next week. Serge, maybe you want to start?
Sure. So yeah, first of all, we had a new cohort of parachains on Polkadot, and they were like onboarded on our side. Specifically, I created archives and added them to Relayer. There was an issue with test B block production, but it was solved after restarting Farmer. I think Nazar restarted it. And yeah, so now we have all those new parachains supported. And apart from that, I was working on, still working on feed validation. As I mentioned before, I moved bridge initialization to create feed call. And currently, we submit blocks for verification, but I discovered there was an issue with conversion of blocks with justifications to binary format. And I think I fixed that today. But yeah, we have another error currently. It's related to cumulative weight. So when we submit a block, it says too low cumulative weight. And apparently it is related to change of weights for authorities, because when we initialize bridge, we have like initial authorities with initial weights, and over time that changes, and we don't track it at the moment. So this is what I'm gonna work next. I want to understand how it works and how can we keep track in pilot feeds. That's all on my side.
Okay, so you are only working on this bridge side of things, right?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions to Serge?
Yeah, Serge, about the cumulative weights, just so I understand. So this means that the weight of Subspace, its runtime to validate all of these blocks that are coming in, or is that what weight we're talking
about? It's
about
justifications. Apparently, justification that are present is not enough according to the previous authority set to actually justify it.
Right. Okay. So we have initial authorities, and every authority has a weight, initial weight.
So this is separate from the weight of like gas. This is a different meaning of weight. Yeah, okay. Okay, now I understand. I was confused on that. Okay.
All right. Lu Cheng.
Okay, sure. So last week, the execution proof verification on the secondary node is almost done. I have tested the entire process of the proof verification on the secondary node in the testing environment. but there is still one issue that needs to be fixed to implement it properly in the non-test environment. And with some discussions with the parity folks, we are not going to use the parent state and the overlay at the same time while generating the execution proof. Instead, we create a new state based on the parent state with the overlay and use this new state to create the execution proof, which means the overlay will be transparent on the proof verifier side. So yeah, still all the work still happened on my own fork, but I have planned to split my initial substrate PR into multiple ones. The first one of the series has submitted to the substrate and is waiting for the review. So moving forward to this week, I am working on the second PR to substrate, which is about adding a new API, like verify the execution proof, and continue the other stuff that we discussed last time. Yes, that's all my updates.
Okay, questions to Lu Cheng? I was following some of the PRs and discussions with Chen, his nickname. Okay, Justin, you're next.
Yeah. So last week, just continuing to keep up with the community, added some more language channels, the Spanish and Vietnamese channels. Continuing to help users out with the FarmNet. We're starting to get, a good amount of questions and issues and things like that. Nothing really detrimental to our protocol, but more so just kind of user-caused issues with different configurations and things like that. Worked with Nazar to get the new snapshot released. Finally verified that code signing and everything like that is working. So we got that going. Been working with the business team to just kind of analyze the current community situation, see if there was like any lessons learned that we could take away over this large influx that we've had over the past couple of weeks, just so we can continue to improve, as we move along. And I'm also working with some of the ambassadors to get localization or different languages added to the Subspace documentation I've been working on, to continue to help with consolidating all of the various different resources. And hopefully that way we can also start getting some more official translated resources, or at least crowdsourced, and peer-reviewed community translated resources as well. This week, we'll be moving forward. We had our Subspace desktop release last Friday, so going to be making sure the team's good to go, seeing if there's any issues, and continuing to document any bugs that we may get with that, and with obviously just the snapshot release as well. And also just going to be continuing to try and think about a good way to improve our support structure, just because we're starting to see a good amount of, people asking questions and stuff like that. So it might be good to have some kind of format or structure for that as well, to kind of help out with, stuff going into the general channels and things along those lines.
Okay, makes sense to me. Any questions to Justin?
Yeah, how many nodes do we have right now on the FarmNet?
Let me pull up the telemetry 1 second.
So I saw Todd had said we had like 75 yesterday.
Yeah, I haven't checked.
That's so low, and we have much more.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I imagine it's gone up a little bit here. Looks like we're at about 102 is what I'm seeing.
102, this is the old one. The previous snapshot. The current snapshot is 212 nodes.
There we go.
So we have both running in parallel. So those people haven't dropped off.
Yeah, they're still part of the old network. The bootstrap node already changed, but they're still there.
Okay. Are we gonna just continue running that old network?
We are not running it. Like it's just like someone is running it. They have like their own island.
We shut down, but nobody can bootstrap into it, at least from our client.
Only if they know like the bootstrap URL directly, which they don't. They're just in their own fork right now.
Right.
Slowly dying.
Okay.
But that's just how it's supposed to work. So
sure. No, it's great. Okay, I've got a bunch of questions on bugs, but I'll save that for Oskin.
Okay, Ivan, you're next.
Sure, yeah. Last week we mostly was working with Nazar on iterating the introducing the databases for the plot, for having the mappings from the indexes, from the PC indexes to the offsets and vice versa. So yeah, thanks for like bearing everything with me. Yeah, there was many of silly changes introduced by me. So yeah. Also, I was working on the partial replica a bit. Yeah, but Nazar discovered a bug right now after the PR merge that the block production wasn't working. So I tried to reproduce it today. Also, my PR also broke one of the tests. We accidentally discovered one of the bugs, which actually I think is minor. So yeah, waiting for some ideas from the Nazar about that. So yeah, but the PR with the fix of mine of that bug is already opened. So yeah, I'm planning to fix the bug with the block production after the introduction of the mappings and iterate forward to the partial replica support. So yeah, hope to finish that soon.
Okay, this will be a big milestone. Any questions, Ivan? Okay, Leo?
Well, last week I was working with Oskun in the app. So until Friday, I was just in that until we get this release. And we got a lot of bugs to solve for the next version. So probably this week I will be working in that. And also over the weekend, I was checking the NIR tutorials for the hackathon code. And I was able to run this minting example. And I got the missing part of adding Subspace.js to back up these media files for any NFT that I mint in the app. But it is working, and they have a weird paradigm of contract, one address, one account, and it's kind of weird, but I get used to it. And also, I will be adding this morning a couple of parachains that Serge added to the testnet. So I just need to add the new assets for the parachain icons, and I will send the pull request to add them. And regarding the relayer also, we had a tiny script to automate the deployment. I sent a tiny fix this morning to get this working. So we'll be probably merging that to test the automated deployment of these new parachains.
Okay, I would say in terms of desktop bugs, the Debian package actually works even on your Ubuntu. So don't focus on that. If you have macOS by any chance, try to fix that because it doesn't seem to run on any platform, like on Intel or ARM. And if you have Windows, Todd had some strange thing that would be worth researching. Linux is not like the highest priority right now.
Okay, I have Windows to test, and I can help with that. I don't have a Mac.
Yeah, just look at what that problem was, like what might have caused it, and we need to fix it before we give it to users.
Sure.
Okay. Other questions to Leo?
I have one. So I was trying to solve some bug today on Linux, but I was not able to right-click on the Tauri app for Yarn Tauri dev and see the console. Have we disabled it somehow? I couldn't reach the console.
You can enable that in the .env file. There is a configuration called context menu, and it's off by default. You just put
on? And
Yeah, previously it was on, but we probably changed it. Okay, thanks to you.
I think it's there.
Okay, Ozgun, this is your turn.
All right. So lots of news, as Justin and Leo already mentioned. We released the version 0.2.0 for the Subspace desktop app. It's working mainly. So we have, of course, some minor bugs, but it's working as I expected. So we can talk about the bugs. Actually, it's time for that, right? The most major ones are, let me think. Okay, Nazar discovered we could handle the plotting directories better, so they should be in the config directory instead of some polluting the home directory. Other than that, we are creating the default directory without asking permission to users. So it's created by default. But when user enters another custom directory, we expect that directory to be there. So we don't create that custom directory. These are all simple issues to solve, so nothing worrying about that. The biggest issue is probably the Mac OS bug. So when we built the application in our custom machines, it is working. But after the code signing, it does not. So it's creating a malfunctioned executable for Mac. We have to solve that. I did a bit research on the weekend. I'm suspecting that entitlements.plist file may be the subject to it. So we can work with Justin on that to discover what actually is the bug. Because to my research, I couldn't find a specific reason for the bug. We just have to do some trials and errors, I believe. And Linux is working, Windows is working. Of course, there are some small bugs, but after we get the Mac OS bug resolved, I think we will be in a good spot. And other two bugs that I was working on, one of them was we were enabling users to click on, okay, I have copied my mnemonic, my private key button, without revealing the public key itself. So it didn't make sense. I put some extra disable things there, so it's working correctly now. This is one of the bugs that's been solved. I didn't issue a PR. I will do after this meeting or tomorrow morning as the first thing. And the other one is, this is kind of a big one. So we wanted launch on boot option to be the default thing for the desktop app. The code is actually designed to have that. So it's actually the default option to start on boot. However, it's not behaving that way. I was only able to test and fix it for the macOS. So right now for macOS, it is working. I will not dive into the details, but it's something related to Apple script. I will also inspect Linux and Windows and see if the bug is present there as well. If so, we will fix it. And then that issue will be resolved too. Yeah, that's what I have on my side. And we have lots of bugs, other bugs too, although they are minor. So I will be spending this week on these bugs.
Did you see the one that I submitted, Ozgun, regarding the social media links?
Yeah,
Okay.
I saw it.
Okay, so we'll probably wait a little bit and for like the next patch version before we give it to users, right? So there are less rough edges.
Yeah, like some of these bugs needs to be fixed for the next release, but some of them can wait, I believe. So as soon as we got the rough edges working, I think we are good to go for another release.
Okay, makes sense.
And to be clear, we're not actually giving it to users. These are just people that are following us that are downloading it, right? We're not making any announcements to people about this being live or.
Yeah, we only announced it to our team at this moment.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions to Ozgun? Cool. I'm almost the last one. So last week I was working on different things. First of all, we finally fixed with Justin the issues with code signing for both Windows and macOS. Seems to work. People are already using it. Everything is good finally. The latest release was incorporated into the desktop app, but turned out there were some CI issues because Tauri folks released a new version of the action, and we were using like the latest one. So I guess my question would be to maybe Ozgan. Do we plan to upgrade the Tauri itself, because the new action is supposed to work with the new version of their like stable or whatever they have, and we are still using the old one? Do we plan to upgrade it?
We can upgrade it. When we tried to upgrade it, we had some weird bugs on the Linux side. That's why we didn't choose to update it. But I
compilation
think
or just like runtime?
Runtime.
Okay.
But I think we can give it another try because time passed. Yeah.
Yeah, those issues like on macOS, they can be potentially related or they can change. So if you fix it like on the old version and then we upgrade again, maybe it's worth fixing the new one.
Yeah.
So there was that. I was also working a little bit with the OpenCL implementation from Supranational, the PR that they had for a while. I did some tests. I have several machines right now. So on Intel integrated graphics, it seems to work with open source drivers. No tricks, nothing required. Just install the package and it good to go. On AMD side, it doesn't work with open source driver, but you need to install the proprietary driver from the AMD website. It's a little bit awkward, a little bit tricky, but it's nothing complicated. The manual can work for users, and it seems to work fine with that driver. I would expect on both AMD and Intel on Windows there will be no issues, so I just merged it. I had to do some tricks to fix detection of GPUs. There are some bugs in the code in C++ side, but that is resolved. The upcoming changes will be to take all of that code and make it actually safe, because there are many places where it just go into FFI with some expectations and it just drops in unsafe, presenting safe API, which is not safe at all. So we need to fix that, just like C++ folks doing C++ stuff in Rust. And I was also working on the synchronization from the network over DSN. I have a rough draft of that that is working. It is syncing. It basically downloads pieces from DSN, assembles blocks from that, and tries to import them. This is like a very basic version, and there are some things to tweak, but I think I'll do a bit pull request today, and we can start iterating from there. There are many like things to do to make it actually proper and secure and everything. But this is the first step. So yeah, networking and the OpenCL will probably be my focus this week. And I hope to test it on Windows and maybe with both Intel and AMD. Just don't have a machine at my hands. Yeah, any questions to me?
I'll get that AMD machine running today for you, Nazar.
I already got machine from Ozgan. I messaged you both. Whoever was the first one, basically.
Oh, Nazar, do you want me to test these as well on my Windows and my Intel integrated graphics on MacBook Pro?
That would be great.
Yeah.
I don't have Mac at all. I do have some Windows machines that are not mine, but in the same house, so I can like borrow them for a while. But it would be easier for you to test because I need to like install a bunch of things there.
More tests, better. Yeah.
Yeah. And macOS as well. Like if there is OpenCL driver on macOS, that would be nice.
Yeah.
So at least
okay.
one machines we can use it.
It's available on Intel Macs, so I will test it.
Okay. All right, Jeremiah, any announcements that we should do before we close the recording?
No, I'll do my announcements after. Let's just give Ed a chance to give an update on what he's working on this week too.
Mostly looking through the formal specification, going through the formal specification on the Notion as well as the decentralized storage. I want to read through the white paper again, or the technical paper again, before I get on call with Jeremiah for the next onboarding call, so that if I have any questions, I can we can chat about that. And maybe I will have an onboarding call with Nazar as well this week and get into more technical stuff as well. But yeah, like right now, my schedule is a bit more open apart from these, but I think this will change.
Okay, let's, I don't know, today, we can do it later today or tomorrow. I have a lot of free time. Okay, thanks everyone for watching on YouTube. We'll see you in one more week.